Okay, so what I want to talk to you guys about today is mods. And the only reason I really picked these is because they're the next logical step when it comes to vaping. I mean, your battery is very important. There's no questioning that. No one, I don't think there's anyone who can question that. And honestly, if they question that, run. Run in the other direction. Because chances are this person has no clue what they're talking about. So, like I said, the next logical step would have to be to talk about mods. And really, there is not a whole awful lot to say. I mean, there are a few things. There's your regulated mods. Generally, those tend to be your Sigelis, your Kanger's been doing a lot of them. A lot of companies have been moving to it. Wismec, namely, I think they have the R2/3, stuff like that. And then there's your unregulated stuff, which really isn't a thing anymore. Since the FDA ruling recently, there's one of the big provisions is now almost everything sold has to be regulated. So you might get it from a private seller or you might already own it. Personally, since I know what I'm doing, I'm more familiar with them. I tried to get one of these things before that passed as quickly as possible. Now, because I'm not really going to go into detail on your unregulated or fully mechanical mods. And that's mostly, like I said, because it's kind of an advanced user device. And when I say that, I mean if someone isn't already more familiar with how coils act, how batteries are going to act, how juice is going to react to that, then these things do become dangerous. And that's something you need to be aware of. But pretty much, as you can see with this, no buttons, no dials, only one button, turn it on and off. And that's simply because I'm setting my wattage, or joules, or amps, or whatever you want to call them, I'm setting that strictly with my coil. So I need to understand that relationship. And that's honestly a lot of math that I'm not going into right now. So, and like I said, if they're not quite as clean as they can be, they're a little iffy when it comes to working right. But I mean, that is a maintenance issue. And it's one that I can resolve. I just haven't had the stuff late. I haven't had the stuff, the picks and stuff nearly to clean out my threading, clean out this, that, and the other. But these things will also last, assuming you maintain it, it will last forever. More often than not, I've had regulated things. Offhand, I've had a cuboid. The firing pin's a little screwed up in it. The Elasmo, Christ, I dropped that damn thing and it just completely shattered us, circuitry and everything going everywhere. And then I've had, God, what was it? It was Lotus. One of the Lotus Eclipses? No. I-80 or E-80, or I think it was E-80. And pretty much that allowed you to set your voltage. It regulated it in the sense of it would not fire below 0.2 ohms. And it was variable voltage type, and the potentiometer I think burned up in it. But I mean, that was not through misuse, that was just through complexity. With this, legitimately, it's just several pieces of metal connected, insulated by fiberglass, some of them. But that's aside from the point. The point is, these are very advanced devices, so I'm not covering them anymore in this beginner set of videos. Now, when you get into your regulated stuff, that's when things get interesting. And the very first thing I am ever going to say on this is get the highest wattage you can afford from a brand you trust. Now, I'm going to repeat that for you. Get the highest wattage capable box you can afford from a brand you trust. Now, I'm going to say that for one reason. Everyone I know started out with a vape, one of them little pens you can get in, Walmart or gas station or something. Every one of them have decided over time that's pointless. It doesn't serve me anymore. So they go out, they buy a bit of a better one from, say, a smoke shop or vape shop. Still a beginner unit, in the $30 range. And then from there, they almost always say, I want something adjustable. So they get, a 60 watt box. Generally, that's your next logical step. And they'll sit there, they'll vape that for 3-4 months. And then they'll be like, I really want more. So then they go to 100 or a 120. Then they keep going. They decide they want a 200 watt box or a 160 because, 100 watts just wasn't doing for them. So find the highest wattage capable box you can. You bypass all them steps. And just offhand, staying within the hanger line, you're going to save yourself about $100. So, that is very much a thing. And set it to where you like it, to where you're comfortable. Because if your batteries can take it, if your batteries can handle 200, they'll handle whatever real quickly, so that becomes less of an issue. So set to whatever you're comfortable and wherever your tank of choice or RDA hits best at. Because I've had devices, 2 separate RDAs, 2 separate sets of coils that they can behave similarly at 80 to 120 watts. Especially on your regulated devices where they pulse. There is pulse width modulation. Lots of fancy tech lingo that honestly, sometimes I don't even understand. But pretty much, that's why sometimes, say, your Sigelei 100 watts are going to hit just as good as your Hanger 120s. And that's more of a design choice by the manufacturer, which is why I'm saying get a brand you like. Those pens only exist to see if vaping is for you, if it is something you think will help you, if it is something you think that you would enjoy. Now, apart from that, there are several different features. Now, some of them I think are pointless for people that have been vaping for a long time. But some of them are still helpful. Namely, offhand, first thing, and this, once again, isn't really a thing if you're buying a new device, only when you're buying older ones, would be temperature control. Now, personally, I can't stand it. Personally, I find a lot of the flavor in your nickel and titanium goes away, and I tend to get hit, like I can legitimately taste the nicotine, and that's not a good spot to be in. And honestly, fumes from those are, I'm not too familiar with how nickel fumes are, or how titanium fumes are. I don't think they'd be very good for me. I think I would never really fire them dry. When I made them, I didn't test fire them. I just trusted that I knew what I was doing. Now, your temp control, it's gonna make it so you're not getting. It's essentially gonna make a dry hit harder to get, and of course, it's gonna reduce temperatures or raise it. So if you prefer a cooler vape, you can get that consistently. If you prefer a warmer one, you can get that consistently. But the big thing with temperature control is it's not going to catch your cotton on fire. It's going to prevent dry hits. It's going to give you a bit more of a heads up that, hey, this cotton's getting dry. You better resaturate it, which is good. It's good for people that have not been vaping for a while because honestly, when you start, you will get dry hits. I know a lot of people are going to say, but you didn't mention stainless steel. I don't have any experience with it. I have no desire to try it. I have no desire to try any more temperature control. They've always left bad tastes in my mouth. I mean, aside from that, there are a few other things you might want to consider when selecting one. Some of them, namely offhand, I'm thinking the Leismo is a much more tech heavy mod. As in, there are a lot more chips. There's a very large screen on the front. So I mean, if you're klutzy, don't buy one. Get something a little more robust, a little stronger, namely offhand heat vape. With that thing, I've never had. It was almost indestructible. I mean, there are ways to destroy it, but I mean, it can survive getting dropped. It can survive anything. I mean, it was completely rubberized. But I mean, I'm not here to review these things at this point. So my point is, you know, I don't want to see you guys wasting money on this stuff. I mean, and I understand. I go through it. I have to test most brands out myself. I don't take people's word, but generally, once I find something I like, I stick with that and just get the highest I could. Because, you know, like I said, I can't afford to upgrade every month and a half, 2 months, because I like something bigger. You know, generally, with a few exceptions, you're not, you know, most mods aren't going to break 200. You know, there have been some that have been boasting at 225, 250. Once again, Wismex had a couple that you can actually upgrade your software. And I mean, that's the thing. Oh, thinking of Wismac, thinking of that, an upgradable software, and the USB port on these, on all your regulated mods, don't use it to charge. Just don't ever. I have seen more mods burnt out or destroyed because someone hooked it up to their computer, hooked up to their their car charger, phone charger, whatever, and sat there and tried to charge it. You'll burn out not really the USB ports, but the circuitry after that it's feeding, because it generally it doesn't feed into the battery, or if it does, it feeds in the sense of it takes the data and power that it needs for that, and then trickles whatever's left into the battery. It's not meant to take the full 3 amps or what have you. I know for almost every source is different, but that is a thing. I've seen people burn up $100 mods because they're idiots and put it to a computer. You know, and I mean, granted, that sounds like a stupid statement, because a lot of mods are coming with internal batteries, and if it does come with an internal battery, that's different. Check your manufacturer, but for stuff with external batteries, use a proper charger. It's going to charge faster 9 times out of 10, unless you have a really, really junk charger. And I'll go ahead and call it junk. Once again, I'm going to tell you, get Nightcore's IntelliCharger. That's one that's worked incredibly well for me. I know people that use eFest's chargers, and I have no experience with it. They may make a good charger. And I mean, one thing, just because you were able to use a computer once and charge it, it's good. These things, they don't burn out after one use. They'll burn out over time. Almost always. I mean, I have seen some just the first time you hook it up, fries. But generally it's over time. So you could use that and say once won't kill it, but it might. I don't know every mod. I can't tell you offhand. So, if you've made it this far, first off, major congratulations to you, because I know I'm a pain in the neck to listen to sometimes. But, you know, this is going to be going into this offhand, this is going to go straight on to YouTube when I'm finished editing, and probably Facebook, and probably into one of my vaping groups. So what I'm gonna do is right now, because I want I want your input. What do you want me to take a look at next? I've covered the big safety thing that was mandatory like immediately before you could make a blind choice on just about anything else, and but don't make blind guesses on that, which would be your batteries. Not adequate. They can go boom. I've gone ahead and touched on the one piece that really the most expensive piece at the worst you're going to get from making some mistakes here is cost a lot of money, but not very often is it dangerous if you're careful, if you don't play stupid games. So now, as far as stuff that I plan to talk about, coils just because they are their own thing, in my opinion, because they behave differently in everything. RDAs or atomizers, we'll just say. I'll probably throw RDAs and tanks into the same spot, and liquids in themselves. So those are three things I plan on talking about. What do you want me to hit next? So I don't come into this blind or just with a whim one day. So over the next few days, let me know, and I'll try to get that up. So until then, keep it cloudy, guys.